welcome and thank you so much for joining me, Alyssa Arundell, for your 2021 tarot card reading. I cannot believe we're in 2021. For this year, what we're going to do is pull 12 cards, and these 12 cards are going to symbolize each month of the year for your specific zodiac sign. In the middle of this spread is going to be what's called a significator card. So this is a card that is a running theme throughout your year, and then as each month comes up, we're going to compare this card to the card that you pulled for that specific month. So I hope that that makes sense. I will also be leaving timestamps beneath this video so that you can refer back to each month as you go throughout your year. So all you need to do is save this video in your favorites or something, and then you can refer back to that. Before we dive into this year's reading, I'd also just like to thank you for joining us for our daily show. Thank you for joining me for these monthly videos. It really does mean a lot to me. If you would like to check out your free 3-card tarot spread, you can do that by clicking on the link beneath this video. It's completely free. And if you would like to reach out to myself for a live one-to-one consultation, I'd be more than happy to work with you and to serve you in whatever way I can. But without further ado, let's get into this year's reading.
Hello lovely Leo, and welcome to your 2020 tarot card reading. We're going to start off this year with your significator card. So this is the card that is going to have a running theme for you throughout this year, Leo. And the card on the top here for you is the Knight of Pentacles. Knights typically represent messages, and if we think about Pentacles as our material plane, so this is messages. It could be anything to do with your finances, to do with your home, to do with business or career. So I definitely think that you're on the right track this year to make some massive headway in terms of those areas in your life, because this is what the Pentacles represents. And also the Pentacles card is very grounded. So yes, you may be getting news about money and things like that, but I think it's going to come to you in a very grounded way. I don't feel that you're going to get too carried away, or that you're not going to know how to deal with a situation. It's quite an empowering significator card for you to start this year off. The card that comes up for your January is the Four of Swords. So this suggests that January might be a month where you're feeling a little bit drained. And that is really no surprise. Quite a few signs this year have had quite difficult Januaries and Februaries. I think partly this is because of outside, circumstances. We're still uncertain in terms of our health, in terms of the global pandemic. We're still maybe uncertain financially. And this is, only January. So it stands to reason that there may be a bit of exhaustion. When the Four of Swords comes up, some people say it is a mini death. Now, I don't tend to describe it always that way, because I feel that's maybe a little bit fear-mongering. I think what's meant by that is that you need time for sleep, you need time for rest. This is a card that comes up, especially if you're a go-getting person who has a lot of charisma. Perhaps January, you just don't feel very shiny. You don't feel like you want to talk to people much. You might not feel like you want to interact with the world at large. It's a little bit of a lesser hermit card in a way. This is about keeping yourself sort of hidden away a little bit. But if you do get these feelings, please don't be harsh on yourself. Just know that it's your body and your mind, because swords are our minds, our thought processes. It's your mind's way of protecting yourself. Taking that break is going to be so vital. So really give yourself some self-care in the January month.
As we move into February, things are moving forwards for you at quite a fast pace. So this lull in energy, I feel, is only going to last through January, maybe some January blues. We have to remember that this tarot card isn't This reading isn't just in a bubble. It's not isolated from the rest of the world. We have politics, we have environmental issues, we have a global pandemic. So all of these things are still going on around you. But the intention for this spread is your specific zodiac energy for this year. And in February, you have the 8 of Wands. The 8 of Wands is very fast-paced energy. It's go-getting. It's fire, like you are. Some of you may actually have some sort of move in February. If it's not a physical house or location move, there's a shift that is happening within you where you really start to get your spark back. You're feeling more motivated. January was a bit of a low month, but February, you are really getting back on top form. And that's something to really look forward to, particularly if this draining energy has been something that's followed you around a little bit this year. In March, more fire. So far, so good for this year, Leo. The Ace of Wands. The Ace of Wands is about new ideas, business ideas. It's going for it. It's creativity. It's creation. So some of you will be either starting a new business, being involved in a new hobby, finding out new interests. You could be really guided to widening your horizons in terms of your career or education. Maybe you take an online course. That could be to do with something to do with your spirituality, or you learn how to do a certain something like you go to school for, maybe take an art class, something like that. It's something where you are doing something that you love, that's just for you. You're not necessarily thinking of the whole plan in March. There may be some ideas of where you want to go, but it's not about that. It's not about the end result. This is about the start of a journey. Aces are the beginning of a suit. So you come off the back of February feeling very motivated, and then that motivation really does carry on through March. Definitely, if you have lost some confidence, or you've been let down, or your self-esteem has been eroded, particularly by a toxic relationship, you're actually finding yourself again in March. This is your confidence getting back, and getting back to that bright and bubbly Leo that we all know and love. Now in April, Leo, you have the 3 of Pentacles. So this is about teamwork, cooperation, collaboration. You're being asked in April to work with others to get a job done. Now, there may be parts of you that actually want to go it alone, that want to just sort of rely solely on yourself. But there are times in life where you're going to need to delegate, and there are times in life where you're going to have to call in either experts in a field, or just people that have got your back. Not going it alone in April is very important. Just, having that lovely teamwork. This is the card of the Mason. And if we think about it in terms of building, you have the main guy, the head honcho who knows what he's doing, he's experienced. And then you have the 2 apprentices who are brilliant. They're working alongside him, but they're also learning from him. And so it could be that a mentor really comes into your life in April, or it could be that you're mentoring somebody else. So a lot of sharing of ideas and energy, but in a very stable way. So April is a great month for you to work together with others, and maybe even make some financial returns from that. Now we move into May, Leo, and you might want to go a bit inside yourself again. This is the Hermit. Especially if it's been all systems go for that first sort of quarter of the year. May, you might just want a bit of time out from the world, just to recap, check in with how far you've come already on your journey of 2021. The Hermit, though, even though he likes some time alone, he is carrying a lantern. And for me, when I'm reading tarot, this lantern represents knowledge and wisdom. And so he has this lantern of knowledge and wisdom, and people follow him because of that, because they know he's got something to say, they know he's got something to share. And this could well be you in May. Maybe you want some time alone, but actually people keep coming to you for advice, for guidance and assistance, for you to be their confidant. And at times this might be difficult because you want a bit of time alone. But ultimately, I think you're going to be a brilliant advisor for this month. You're going to be able to share your life experiences, your expertise in whatever area you work in. People are going to look up to you. You're getting recognition for the hard work that you put in. But at the same time, you don't necessarily want the fanfare and the palaver that goes on with being recognized. It's more of a gentle recognition where you're not being pushed into the limelight so much. It's an internal recognition that you're on the right path. Now, as we move into June, Leo, the card that comes up for you is Death. This is another major arcana card. Death is about renewal. It is about release. It is about transformation. Very rarely does it signify an actual death, although it can. If we know people that are not well, perhaps, elderly people, it can sometimes represent their transition. And I think in the Western world, we tend to struggle with death because it is a painful process, a physical death. But what it really is a beautiful transformation that every single one of us goes through. We've all been blessed to be born, and we will all be blessed to have that experience to be born in reverse, shall we say. But if we think about death, there may be struggle as we get to that point if we're thinking about it in a physical death. But the moment of death, there is that release. Now, this is a metaphor for you in June. And this isn't anything to scare you. You might have felt like you've been through some real trials, tribulations. It may have been painful. It may have made you feel very wary at times and tired. But when that kind of moment comes, that light bulb moment, that moment of transition, that release and relief comes in, and you'll know that you're able to start on this new path. If we compare your cards so far here to your significator card, which is this Knight of Pentacles, this is news about your material world. And so if there has been fears around your living situation or you just your security in general, I feel like in June, you're really starting to see more clearly what it is you should be doing, even if there are some painful choices to make. So let's see if we can get a bit more clarity on this as the rest of your year goes on, Leo. So in July, what happens is the 6 of Wands. Now, this is so funny because in this card here for May was the Hermit. And we talked about you getting recognition, but a quiet type of recognition and not a fanfare. Well, come July, the fanfare comes because the 6 of Wands is that, palm leaves being thrown at your feet. This is about rewards, awards, really being recognized and noticed in a more public way. Being adored in a lot of ways and being given that huge pat on the back for work hard done. So you may have felt some of that energy coming to you in May, but it wasn't in a very exposed way. It was more an inner knowing and inner self-worth. Come July, you are actually seeing that reflect in your outer world. And I think that's really going to give you a boost. I think a lot of us, especially if we're into a lot of us, especially if we are into, spirituality, self-development, we have this idea of letting go of the ego. And I understand why that is a very popular thought at the moment, because our ego really can be a driving force that pushes us in wrong directions, shall we say. However, we all have an ego. If we were not to have an ego, we just wouldn't be human. We wouldn't exist here. So a healthy dose of having an ego is good. You should be celebrating your achievements and awards and savouring that, because very often in life, when tragedies or difficult times happen, we really sit in that fear and misery for a long time. However, when things go right and we actually achieve something brilliant, a lot of the time it's this fleeting moment that we don't allow ourselves to savour properly. July, think of your life as a good meal. You want to savour it. And
and do so. You really do deserve that. Don't feel guilty about that. Now, as we move into August, whoa, well, okay, the card was chosen for you by the tarot deck. We have a reflection of what happened in February on steroids, basically. So August, you have the Chariot. This is things moving at fast pace. The charioteer has absolutely no reins on these horses. They are pulling in two different directions half of the time. He's hanging on for dear life, but he has faith that the horses will even and level themselves out and he will get there eventually. So what does this mean for you on a practical level? Well, I feel your life might change very dramatically in August. It might feel a bit overwhelming, a bit like a roller coaster ride, but actually I think you're going to get a real buzz from this. Because the start of the year had this energy in that February and March, and then you went a bit more into yourself, a little bit more serious, going through some spiritual transformations. Now you're getting your spark back again and things are pushing forwards again. So this year so far is this balance between your inner world and your outer world, and that is also what the Chariot represents. You know, you're dealing with your conscious mind, but you're also unpeeling some of those unconscious fears that may have been with you even since childhood. You're peeling them back, you're bringing them into the light, looking at them, working on them, becoming a stronger, more defined person because of that. And that is so exciting, Leo. Now, as we move into September, the card that comes up is the Queen of Pentacles. With your significator card of the Knight of Pentacles, September, I feel, will be a good month for finance. You might see some of the rewards from your creativity and teamwork earlier on in the year. That might seem like a long time to wait, but I think for a lot of us this year is going to go very quickly. So yes, September, financial rewards, but also the Queen is mature. She is ahead in her field. It's usually represented as a woman, but if this were to be a person, it would be someone who was involved in finance, either the accounting world, anything to do with banking, anything to do with investment. So if this is you and this is the kind of work you do, this could well represent you. If that's not the kind of world you're in and you're in a more creative or health organized work, or, you know, anything to do with technology, something else basically, I do think someone could be coming into your life who can really help you hone in on sorting out your resources in a way that is, you know, exciting, not, you know, spreadsheets that you don't understand, things like this. It's going to be sorting out your finances, your resources in quite a beautiful way, and I feel that there will be an abundance coming to you in September. Now, as we move into October, Leo, this card isn't the easiest, guys. I'm not going to lie to you. It's the Nine of Swords. So the Nine of Swords represents sleepless nights, burnout, nightmares, can sometimes be depression and anxiety. But 9 is a number of completion. So I feel like because you've been so creative, like the inner work, getting the rewards, then you're traveling in August, everything's going at full speed, your finances are getting sorted out. Some worry could come up again, because say you have a debt, for example, and this is not financial advice by any means, because I'm not trained in that area, but say a debt comes up in September, you may really be asked to look at that. And that might sometimes feel scary, particularly if you've been burying your head in the sand about anything. But actually getting to the root of things, making a plan, ultimately is going to alleviate so much pressure from you. So I do feel in this October month, it's kind of like some of your fears are coming up. But it doesn't mean that your fears will be realised. It's just a month where you're having a bit of a wobble. Maybe some things have been going very well in your life and you're like, okay, when's it going to go wrong? It's anxieties, it's worries, but it is that 9 card. So it's coming to the end of any cycle that feels oppressive in that way. Now, as we move into November, you have the Queen of Swords reversed. The Queen of Swords typically represents somebody who is stern, who is follows the rules, follows the law, but has a sense of humour. I feel with you, Leo, with this being reversed in November, I feel elements of your logic are going to be a bit all over the place. You're not necessarily going to know what decisions to make. There is a little bit of a lack of clarity in November. And this isn't for any sinister reason other than I think it's the energy that's coming off the back of this October month, which is the trickiest month of your entire year according to this tarot spread. So I think it's almost like when we're walking down the street and we trip over something on the floor, but we don't fall, face on the floor. We kind of stumble and then we get our balance back. But there's almost that fear of like, oh, gosh, I nearly fell there. That is what I think your month of November is like. You felt like you were falling in October, but actually you're going to be okay. But there's like, whew, that was close kind of feeling. So you're composing yourself. And I think the advice that's coming through for this month in November is to be very gentle with yourself. Some of these creative ideas this year and some of the changes you're making to your home, to your finances, to your health and well-being, to your spiritual life, in your romantic relationships, pulling away from toxic people, situations. November, please take a breather because you're going to need your energy, I feel. And then the last month of this year for you, Leo, comes up with the Hangman. I think this is a lovely way to end this year, and I'll tell you why. The Hangman is twofold. Firstly, he is very unique. The way he is dressed is so different. I feel like some of you are going to be wanting a bit of a makeover in December 2021, a new hairstyle, changing up your wardrobe, changing your attitude even a little bit. The Hangman is also in a very meditative state. He's not in any pain by any stretch. He's chilling out. And this month, you may be feeling like you're being pushed into making a decision. I wouldn't do it if I were you, judging from this card, because especially if it comes to your finances or any documentation you have to sign, just if there is a time frame, okay, you might have to work to some sort of deadline, but don't rush in. Give yourself time to really weigh up the pros and cons to anything in December, because it has been a jam-packed year. Some of it so glorious with this creativity, you getting your spark back, you maybe even little bits of arrogance come up at times, but actually I feel last year you lost so much confidence that welcome in that arrogance without getting too cocky. And then the last sort of quarter of the year you have a little bit of a stumble. It happens to all of us, but you are picking yourself up in this December. But again, don't rush in. You've had a busy year. Weigh up your options and opportunities and take time when making any important decisions.
So there you have your 2021 tarot card reading. Thank you again for joining me. It really does mean a lot, especially those of you that join me month to month. You've been with me since I started doing this on Patrick's channel, so I'm really, really honoured to share this time and space with you. If you haven't checked out our daily show, I'd really love you to come along for that ride as well, because it's so much fun and we love being with you every single day. And it's just an honour to have that, really. So I hope that this spread has given you some idea of what you could potentially expect energetically this year. I just want to wish you a peaceful new year. I really hope that you are safe wherever you are in the world, and that you your families, friends, those that matter to you are also safe. I'm sending you lots of love for this new year, and I really hope that things pan out in a way that is beneficial for all of us on the planet. So until we speak again in January, take care, stay safe, and speak again very soon. Alyssa.